Peace, peace. What's the word, everybody? Hopefully, y'all are having a powerful, healthy, productive, positive, efficient, peaceful Sunday thus far. Hopefully, y'all weekend has been pretty nice. And hopefully, y'all got about an hour or so to tap in and listen to this build. This might be a little personal build, but hey, it is what it is, man. I feel like I may speak on some things that some of y'all may be able to relate to. Y'all already know how that go, man. I just want to get some things off my chest, a little vent session. So hopefully y'all got about 45 minutes to an hour to tap in with the kid, listen to the bill, add on, all that good stuff, man. But first, I'm going to give y'all about 3 to 5 minutes to tap in. Let me know how y'all living and feeling on this wonderful Sunday. What's the word? What's the word, everybody that's tapping in? Magic, what's happening? Renzo, Jakari, peace, peace, what's happening? What's the word, everybody, on this wonderful and fabulous Sunday? We're going to do some building, some introspection and things along those lines, man. We just thankful for growth. Sometimes you got to look in the mirror, man. Give yourself that pat on the back because, again, you've been with yourself longer than anybody else. So you got to give yourself that pat on the back. You know how far you've come. Lindell, what's happening? Hey, Terenzo, there we go. There we go for sure. Logic on lockdown. Peace, what's happening? Ray, peace, peace. What's happening? What's the word? What's happening? We on that personal development vibe, man. As I've said, I always talk about just coming a long way. I know a lot of you brothers can relate. A lot of you sisters can relate. The mindset I had way back in the day, completely different from the mindset I have now. And of course, that may sound obvious, but it's not obvious for a lot of folks, man. A lot of folks don't make drastic changes. A lot of folks don't make drastic changes. Like I made drastic changes in my life, and they happen rather quickly. You know what I'm saying? Like they happen rather quickly. So I made some real drastic changes. Like I ain't talking about some small changes in my life. I made drastic changes at a very young age, actually. Some changes that most of my peers at the time wasn't really making. And that made life a little more complicated, but it is what it is. Made it through that jam, man. But hey, I'm just here to tell a little, tell some stories that y'all can relate to, I'm sure. But I made some drastic changes, man. And I had to make those changes. I felt I had to make the changes that I made. I was happy. You know how it is when you have dreams, when you have things that's just letting you know you traveling down the wrong path. So it was me talking to me. That's how I view a dream. You know what I'm saying? That's that subconscious mind letting you know what's up. So I'm having all type of dreams, man, that just kind of let me know I need to make the changes that I ended up making. Now, of course, when I began to make the changes, and implement the changes, of course, it wasn't all sweet. Of course, it's some ups and downs, and it's still plenty of ups and downs, but I had to evaluate my life at a very young age, and I was receiving the messages from the subconscious mind at a very young age that was telling me, man, you need to do X, Y, and Z, or you're going to end up like this. And make these changes now. And I started listening real early in the game, and it led to a lot of unnecessary criticism, which at that time, back then, I hadn't disconnected from that, just thriving off of ignorance, ready to go to war with everybody who said something negative to me. Back then, that was my vibe. That was my mindset. Anybody that has something negative to say towards me that I did not like, I'm going listen, we gonna deal with that. Like we gonna go back and forth. We gonna meet up, whatever the case may be. Like that's the energy that I had early in the game. So when I first started to make them drastic changes, I hadn't disconnected from that. So every time somebody says something that I was not too fond of, back and forth, so that's not good for anybody's health, but that's how I was living, man. I was getting into it with everybody, with all people from all different walks of life, the moment, because a lot of times what happened is it'll be folks trespassing in regards to my social media. You know what I'm saying? I'm posting things for the people that want to think, for the people that want to, or that's open to new perspectives, to new information. So I would be on my platform dropping the information that I'm dropping. And then you have the people who you never see only when they have something negative to say. So I ain't never like that, So if you came on my page when I'm dropping some information and the only time I see you is when you say something negative, I used to attack that. Get off. Like I'm going off on you, I'm letting you know about yourself. When at the end of the day, those people feed off of that, fam. So you're not really doing anything, but boosting their ego because now they think that they done got underneath your skin. Ain't nobody got time for that, but I used to respond to all of that. I don't see you until you got something negative to say in regards to something I put on my platform. I never go out of my way. I didn't do it then. I don't do it now. But I never went out of my way to go on somebody else's page and tell them something negative, bringing negative energy. I don't do that, bro. I don't go on other people's Facebook page. You ain't going to find me on no YouTube. Y'all not going to find me anywhere. Y'all not going to find me on any other platform other than mine. If you see me on somebody else's page or platform, then I'm probably joking. It's probably somebody I know, or I'm agreeing with something, or I'm spitting some positive energy. But you're not about to see me causing trouble on somebody else's platform. I've never been about that. So when it happens to me, I used to have to tell them people about themselves, like straight up. Straight up. Like I used to get into it. Any group that you can name, any group of people that you can name, I used to get into it with them because they'd come right over to my page trying to convert me over to their thinking system. I ain't got time for that. This ain't what that is, man. Get off my page with that. Especially when I didn't ask you to come here with that nonsense. I'm dropping some information from a source that I let you know about. So if you got a problem with something I said, go to the source that I presented. So that's how I used to be. But I'm going off though. Hey, Virgil, peace. What's happening? Hey, straight up, and I used to be a big fool, and I'm quick to tell folks that, I used to be a big fool. Big fool. I wasn't born into no knowledge of myself. I wasn't born like the stuff that is crazy. Because it seemed like I've been doing a lot of this stuff my whole life, and to the public's eye, maybe so. Like I ain't been dropping information for as long as some of y'all have been tapping into me and just inspiration and all that type of good stuff. But y'all didn't see my life before YouTube, before Facebook, before all these platforms, so a lot of y'all are not connected to that version of me. So a lot of y'all are just connected to the vegan, fitness, book reading version of me. That was never, I didn't like to read all the way up until I graduated high school. I didn't like to read. I was not high school all the way up until high school. I didn't start reading until I was like 19 to 20. So all these books y'all see behind me, this all started about 13 years ago. Literally every book you see behind me, I have been gathering these books for just the past 13 years. I'm not a lifelong reader. I wasn't reading in high school. I hated reading. You know what I'm saying? Like I could read, but I didn't necessarily care for it like that because again, the school system had got me. They gave us all them dry textbooks. You know what I'm saying? So to me, I associated reading with boredom. I did not like reading because the only reading that I knew about at the time was the reading that happened in school with those textbooks. And I'm like, man, that's just dry. Reading is boring to me. Boring, so I ain't no reader like that. I just picked up the habit of reading about 13 years ago. Well, about 14 years ago. About 14 years ago. That ain't really nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I wasn't no vegan back then. I was eating all the meat that you could think of and all the candies and I was drinking all the juices, all the stuff y'all could think of. So I wasn't always on this type of time. The only thing that remained consistent in my life that I still do that I did back then was working out and exercise, and I've always done that. But all this other stuff, no. All this other stuff, no. You know, I'm still finding my way with a lot of stuff, man. I wasn't born into this, man. So I don't think a lot of people be understanding that. You know, when people start, even when I try to get people to transition to a different eating style, and folks look at me like, well, you always, no, I have not. I had to make the transition, fam. Like I made the transition just like I'm telling you to make the transition. The same stuff you swear that you can't stop eating, I thought I couldn't stop eating it. And I did. You know what I'm saying? And I was addicted to all that, man. I was addicted. I had a sweet tooth. Any of you people that's watching and tapping in now know what it's like to have that sweet tooth, had that sugar addiction. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I had a sweet tooth, a terrible sweet tooth. I had plenty of cavities. Man, I got this oil getting all in my eyes burning. It's crazy. But if y'all have a sweet tooth currently, or y'all had a sweet tooth back in the day, y'all know what I'm talking about. Sugar was my problem. That's why I drank all the juices, man. I used to love drinking juices, not sodas necessarily, but juices. You know, I used to love drinking juices, and I used to love eating candy and cakes and stuff like that. So I had a sugar addiction. So I'm telling you, if I tell you, you know what I'm saying? If I'm encouraging you to break a sugar addiction, and I'm giving you some things that will help with it, trust and believe this is coming from experience, because I had the addiction. I had the addiction, man. I'm telling you, I had the addiction. I was a full-blown athlete, and I'm eating candy and stuff before track meets and football games. Man, if I would have known anything about nutrition, I probably could have had a way better career than I did. You know, that's one of the reasons why I stayed with some type of injury, fam. Separated both of my shoulders in high school, separated one shoulder junior year, separated the other shoulder the next year. Like I stayed, pulled hamstrings, you name it. I had all type of injuries all throughout high school. Didn't know anything about nutrition, didn't know anything about eating the right foods. I'm eating candy before we about to go run a track meet. I'm eating some nachos. Like, come on, fam, trash. So when I'm telling you that it's possible, I'm telling you that because I did it. From the same place you at right now, I made the transition, and I actually made it. It's harder, I feel like, it's harder to make that type of transition at 18 or 19. Because at 19, man, I'm feeling invincible. I feel like, man, I can eat whatever and go do whatever. So I made the transition off of the junk food, off of the candies and the sugars when I'm in my, like, 19, before I even hit 20. I'm making that transition. I didn't have to do that. I probably could have still been eating all the candy, all the junk food, and still look like I was in tip-top shape. So I made the transition at a harder period. Because I'm 19, man, I probably could have still got away with it for some more years. Mugs are in their 30s and 40s and 50s acting like they can't give up the candy and the things like that. Man, come on now. Y'all in y'all 40s and 50s that talking about you can't stop eating cakes and candy and chips. And I made the transition at 19, 20. I laid off all this garbage. And you 40, 50 talking about you can't lay off of certain foods. Come on, man. We gotta stop telling ourselves this nonsense. Gotta stop telling yourself that nonsense. Antonio, what's happening? Boom, peace. What's happening? Hey, Divine, hey, exercising always been my thing. Dennis, peace. What's happening? Shakir, peace. What's happening? Oh, boom. Hey, I had a death experience too, for sure. I can relate to that. You know, I had a few experiences, but I've spoken on those experiences a few times. But man, I didn't had a lot of eye-opening experiences that caused me to look in the mirror and be like, hold up. Hold up, man. You need to get on it. You need to get serious. You know, and entertaining ignorance doesn't help you. Entertaining ignorance does not help you. You know, and a lot of times the ignorance will come to your life at times when you are striving to make positive changes, because that's the momentum of the world, fam. I've spoken on this. The momentum of the world, for the most part, these days, is toxic, it's negative, it's hostile, it's angry. That's the momentum in regards to the energy that most people possess. So when you wake up one day and decide, I'm going to be better, I'm going to be healthy, I'm going to be positive, you are going against the grain. You are going against the grain of society. So you're going to get met with a lot of resistance the moment you wake up and say, I'm going to be better. See, it's at that moment when you wake up and decide, I'm going to be positive, that you really going to start realizing how negative the world is. See, you wasn't able to realize it before because you were negative right along with everybody else. The moment you say, you know what, I'm done being negative, I'm about to adopt a more positive mentality, then you start looking back like, goodness, the world negative. It never fails. Every time I look up and say, today is the day I'm going to be more mindful of my attitude, that's when I start realizing how bad everybody else's attitude really is and how I used to be in that same boat just yesterday. So it takes for you to wake up and say, man, I'm going to be better today, for you to realize how bad off the world is, because you about to start analyzing things, because now you have not chosen to be a part of that group. See, we be unconsciously a part of that negative group, that negative society. It's when you consciously make the decision that I'm not going to be that way that you start realizing what the world is really on. That's what started happening to me when I said, you know what, I'm about to change the way that I eat. The moment I start changing the way that I was eating is the moment I realized how bad everybody else eats and how bad I was eating. Of course, I couldn't realize how trash the world was eating when I was a part of that. It took for me to say, man, I'm about to, at that time, wasn't nobody saying plant-based. You know what I'm saying? So it took for me to say, I'm about to go vegetarian, for me to realize the addictions that society has and how I was in that same boat. But before that, I was unconsciously a part of all that. So I didn't see it. But the moment I said, you know what, I'm about to stop eating it. I'm about to stop eating meat. I'm about to stop drinking these sodas. I'm about to stop, you know what I'm saying? I'm about to stop doing all this. That's the moment I realized how much of this stuff people be out here doing. The moment I said, you know what, I'm about to start reading more. That's when I started to realize how many people don't actually read. You know what I'm saying? Like, it took for me to say, all right, this is what I'm about to start doing. And the moment I said I'm going to start doing this is the moment I realized how many people don't do this. Because I was just part of the group. You know, so it's crazy. It's crazy. The moment I said, all right, I'm about to start being more open-minded to different perspectives, is the moment I realized how closed-minded the world actually is. The moment I said, all right, you know what, I'm about to tap into some new information, to some new perspectives, that's when I realized how closed-minded the world is. The world is very closed-minded. You know, the amount of judgments that I received unfairly for changes that I decided to make in my life. And I'm pretty sure y'all can relate to this. I'm pretty sure y'all can relate to this. I'm pretty sure many of y'all can relate to that. But the unfair judgments that I received, and that's what led to my duck off persona. That's what led to me disconnecting from a lot of people and things like that. I'm pretty sure y'all can relate to that. I wasn't always like that, but it was the moment that I started to make certain changes in my life, and I started to get judged by folks who I thought, you know, was family, friends, whatever the case may be. when they started to come at me sideways for certain transitions and changes that I was making, that's when I was like, man, I ain't rocking with none of these folks, fam. Like, that's when I realized that when you done been homeboys, when you done been homeboys with folks since out the womb, fam, like when you done been cool with folks out the womb and you done broke your back for folks, and then the moment you start making better decisions with your life, and then they looking at you like, you know what I'm saying? They looking at you like you a traitor. Like, nah, fam, I don't have time for that. I ain't got time for that, fam. I ain't got time. I done been there, done that. You know, I done broken my back. Like, I'm one of the ones you could go tap in with folks that know me, folks I used to rock with back in the day, folks I used to roll with back in the day, and they can vouch for how solid I've always been as a friend. I ain't never left nobody hanging. You know what I'm saying? Like, I didn't roll in the, I'm talking about too deep. I didn't have plenty of homeboy. I didn't roll in the toughest of neighborhoods. I didn't went to clubs on the wrong side. Just me and the homeboy. You know, the people that I be rolling with at the time. And I ain't never left nobody hanging. I ain't never left nobody to fend for themselves. And I done always had folks back. So there is nobody that, if they know me from back in the day, that I roll with back in the day, there ain't nobody finna have many negative things to say. But some of these same people that won't have anything negative to say started to move a little funny. Started to move a little funny when I started to make some changes. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, all right, man, when they started to move funny like that, it was like, man, it was inevitable that we ended up disconnecting. But then these same people act like, man, you wasn't breaking your back for them. You didn't have a back when nobody else did. Man, it's plenty. Man, I got plenty of homeboys, man, that I had they back when nobody else did. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I got stories that I could tell for days, man. I done help homeboys. I done help folks move, fam. Like, when nobody else was there to help them move. Like, I done been there, done that for a lot of people. You know, I served my time with a lot of people, man. I done looked out for a lot of people, fam. Like, and just that's because that's who I am. You know, I get that side of it from my mother and my pops, man. Like, we just gonna help people. You know, if we got it, you got it. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of family that I come from. If I got it, you got it. Man, I mean, I'm seriously, man, my people's that open up the door, like open up the home to a lot of folks that I used to rock with, to the point where, like, my moms and pops, like the second moms and pops to a lot of dudes, fam, because my peoples took care of. Then when we started to grow a little older and more started to evolve, but then other people didn't evolve, they looking at you like you a traitor, like you this, that, and the third. Like, no. Like, not at all. You know, so, man, I didn't been there, done that. Man, I didn't been, you know, stabbed in the back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I did all that, fam. So when people try to judge my demeanor now and make it seem like I'm a dude that runs people off, all that type of stuff, y'all don't know how far I've come. Y'all don't know why I'm the way that I am. Y'all don't know why I say I don't have a circle these days. Fam, like, people like to judge you, but don't want to get the backstory in regards to what led to where you are at today. Like, fam, if I can't trust folks that I've been knowing since I was born, I'm not about to just be trusting folks overnight that I don't know. Like, is that serious? Fam, if I can't trust folks that I've been knowing since I was born, fam, I'm not about to just lay down and trust some folks that I just met last week. And then at this stage in the game, I don't have time to be trying to get to know people to figure out whether I trust them or not. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have time for that. Like I don't have time. I don't have time for that at all. Peace to everybody that's just happening. But I don't have time for that at this stage in the game. I got more pressing issues. I have more pressing issues, so I tend to these pressing issues. You know, I don't have time to form bonds and new friendships and things like that, man. It's stuff I'm trying to build. It's stuff I got to take care of on a personal level, on a business level. So I don't have time for that. You know, again, like if I couldn't trust the day ones, then it is what it is. I keep it pushing. You know, it's people that I rock with from way back in the dirt that, you know, the betrayal. So I ain't got time for that. Ain't got time for that. You know, so I didn't seen the foul stuff up close and personal, you know, stuff that didn't happen to me, stuff that I've witnessed. You know, so that's why, like I said, man, y'all will be surprised at the mentality and stuff that I had, the mentality that I had back in the day. Like I said, a lot of people judge me based off where I'm at now, wherever that may be. You know, so even y'all, people judge me based off of the relationship. I'm like, man, y'all don't even know how far I've come with that. That's why when I see all the dudes that be just going off on women and stuff like that, I laugh because I'm like, fam, I was in the same boat. I'm like, man, y'all really don't know. So when I tell y'all, man, I'm trying to tell y'all, like when I be sitting here telling y'all I was on the same vibe, I promise y'all I am sincere when I say that. I promise y'all, I was sincere. I told my at 18, I'm like, fam, I'd never get married. Like marriage wasn't even nothing that I was like, I'm never doing that. I was like, I was adamantly against it, fam. To be honest, you know what I'm saying. So I'm trying to tell y'all when I see what y'all be saying, and I promise and I tell y'all, I'm like, listen, I used to think the same way, or I used to have the same perspective. Mugs be thinking I'm bluffing. I wish they did not delete my Facebook page from back in the day. If they did not delete my Facebook page from back in the day, I would be able to show and prove. I would have the evidence. I would have the paper trail, so to speak, the virtual one. So y'all could really see where I was at with it, man. I was a savage with the thinking. Like straight up, man, I was a savage with thinking, man. I ain't had no regards for these. I ain't had no regards for no type of women. I ain't even about to just say I ain't had no regards for black women. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had regards for no type of women, man. You know what I'm saying? Like I ain't care nothing about nobody's feelings, nobody's emotions, things like that. You know, and then like I said, man, I started to read more. I started to tap in with myself, and the whole perspective and all of that stuff was changing, man. Whole perspective started to change. I used to get into it with everybody. I think I got into it with every coach I ever had, all the way up until, man, I got into it with my college coaches. Man, I used to get into it with everybody everywhere that I went. Sophomore year playing basketball, got into it with the basketball coach, punched the chair on my way out. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't got into it with some of everybody. 7th grade playing football, got into it with those coaches. 8th grade playing football, got into it with those coaches. Freshman year playing football, got into it with that coach. And each time I got into it, for the most part, I showed and proved my value. So I used to get into it, but it was coming from a genuine place because I always felt disrespected. And then I eventually ended up earning the respect that I was trying to tell them about in the first place. Like, man, it gets deep. It gets deep. Divine man, I don't even know because I was so young. All I know is people said something to me and I didn't like it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna be honest with you. A lot of time when I was younger, it was the communication, man. I just didn't like the way certain adults talk to me. I'm gonna be straight up. Like, I just felt like the way some of them adults was talking to me was kind of crazy. And I ain't necessarily like that. You know, and a lot of times it wasn't even some stuff I did. Now, my sophomore year, the coach was white, bro. So I ain't really white German dude, man. And I ain't really, like, I was in a mode then, like, ain't no white man finna be yelling at me. You know, so I kind of flipped on some, some rebellious type stuff. Like, I don't like the white dude talking to me crazy. You know, I might let the black man get a few off on me. But this white dude ain't finna talk to me crazy. So sophomore year, that coach was white. Dude said something I wasn't too fond of, and I wasn't going for that from no white dude. You know, that's PTSD that the ancestors passed down to me. Ain't no white man finna yell at me. No. You know, I couldn't tolerate that. So that is why I had to go off on that one. You know, luckily I punched the chair and not him. You know, because if I would have messed around and punched him, y'all know how that would have ended up. But the coaches prior to that and stuff like that, even me getting into it with my pops and I got into it with everybody. Like, I try, when I tell people, if you were a hothead with temper problems, y'all know where I'm coming from. I got into it with some of everybody. You say the wrong thing to a person that has a high temper, that's what it is. So Divine, I'm not even gonna really place the blame on the other people. Really, it was on me for having a short temper. You know, even if they were narcissistic and all of that, because I'm pretty sure they got some flaws. All these people that I had to spaz out on, pretty sure that they was flawed in their approach. But a lot of that was just me lacking discipline and control and being a hothead. You know, that's what it was. So it was a way for me to convey how I was feeling at the time properly, but I didn't understand that. You know, the school system don't teach us how to communicate, you know, how to sift through our emotions. Don't teach us that. You know, so when you got a hot head and a hot temper, then it's just all bad because the school system ain't gonna tell you how to deal with that. I didn't have a class in 7th and 8th grade on how to deal with a bad temper, you know, so I just had a temper. I ain't really know how to deal with it. And wasn't nobody trying to teach me how to deal. All they did was tell me you got a bad temper, but nobody was trying to help me with the bad temper. So I didn't like that neither. That was another problem. You know, you keep telling me I got a bad temper, and I'm trying to tell you how to help me with the bad temper, and y'all ain't nobody listening. So that was crazy to me. That was crazy to me. Like, I'm trying to tell you how to communicate with me, and all the people keep telling me is, man, you got a bad temper. Well, telling me ain't that's Captain Obvious. Try to help me solve it. So it was like, man, a lot of those adults, man, they just criticize you, but they wasn't really offering any type of solutions to help with the problems. And I ain't like that. Now I call a lot of adults out on that. I used to call a lot of adults out on that. Like, you telling me that I got a bad temper, but you're not telling me how to solve it. You're not helping me solve it. You know what I'm saying? So I held my adults at the time to a very high standard, you know, and I don't think a lot of them like that. I think that's where a lot of my problem stems from. I used to be outspoken, man. I used to tell some truths at like 8 or 9. Like, I didn't hold my tongue, which is part of the reason why I started to hold my tongue and suppress how I was feeling. Because every time I opened my mouth, I felt like it led to arguments. So I looked at it like I was the problem, when really I was not the problem. I was just speaking my mind and speaking my truth, and the people did not like what I was saying. You know, you hitting some adults hard as a child when the adults start telling you things like stay in a child's place. Or you being disrespectful. Like, man, I wasn't being disrespectful. I wish I had some of these arguments that I was getting into on film. Like, I really wish I had them recorded so some of y'all can really tap in and be like, oh, okay, man, you was making some sense. I promise y'all, this is not my ego talking. I promise y'all, every time that I went back and forth with somebody, it stemmed from a place of Like I was genuinely telling somebody how I felt. And it was my truth. And man, they stay in a child's place, you being disrespectful, you disobedient, this, that, and the all type of nonsense. I remember back when even when I got older, fam, and I started to question things, and I was just asking folks questions. Like I would read stuff and I would start asking questions to my the adults around me, my elders, and they would accuse me of trying to start trouble. All because I'm asking a question. Like you told me, y'all been telling me something since I was 5. I done got to 19, and now I just got a question, and I got accused of starting trouble for asking questions that folks couldn't answer. So I'm like, my goodness. That's when I started to realize that, nah, it was not me with the problem. I'm not going to say I didn't have problems, but a lot of times I was speaking my mind, and them adults, they ain't had no answer for it. They ain't had no solution. So they got mad. They got mad, fam. So I realized that when I got about 19 and I started to just ask questions. Man, I'm like, man, y'all told me this when I was 5. Why? Y'all told me this when I was 6. Explain. Y'all told me to stay away from this when I was 10. Could you elaborate? I'm like, wait a minute. And people getting mad. They man, telling me I'm starting trouble. I'm letting stuff brainwash me. I'm like, hold up, man. I'm just asking a question. People don't, when I ask a question, the question that if I ask a question about something, that don't mean I necessarily subscribe to whatever it is you think I subscribe to. And it was crazy. I'm trying to tell y'all, man, it was crazy. All I would do, I would, even on Facebook back in the day, I would get on Facebook and ask questions. And folks accuse me of just starting trouble on. I'm like, man, I'm just asking questions, family. It ain't illegal to ask questions. So children are some of the most honest people on the planet. So that's when I started to realize, like, man, I was being honest, and they ain't like that. If you want a person, like, look, listen, life corrupts us. So we start lying as we become older, fam. When you were when you were young, man, you telling all the truth. If somebody fat, you gonna tell them that they fat. Like, you ain't got no filter when you a child. Somebody breath stink, you gonna be like, yo, breath stink. You ain't got no filter. It's when we become older that we start withholding the truth. When you're a child, when a child, if this don't make sense to a child, they gonna be like, why do I gotta do this? Yesterday I saw you do that. Why I gotta do this today? Child is gonna tell the truth. And we corrupt the minds of that child. We are those children. We corrupt their minds. So then now we become adults. Now a lot of us afraid to tell the truth, because when we told the truth as a child, we got in trouble. So I see where the origin of lying, I see where all that comes from. When we are children, you get in trouble for telling the truth and being honest. Man, you got around such and such and told them they breath stink. You can't say that. Why not? Somebody tell me why you can't tell somebody they breath stinking if it is. What's the problem? You done told them the truth, man. Get your breath stink. What's the problem? They can't handle it, but they should not be coming out the house with the breath stinking. Somebody stink. That child gonna be like, man, you stink. What's wrong with that, fam? Like, I feel like that we need more of that in society today. For people to tell folks the truth instead of lying to them or not saying nothing at all. Straight up, it don't get any better than that honesty from a child, man. You want to know the truth about yourself? Go around a child for a minute. They gonna tell you everything you need to know. They gonna tell you everything you need to know. But then we corrupt those children. We corrupt them. We corrupt those children. We tell that we discourage them from telling the truth and being honest. We discourage them from having dreams and ambitions. Like, man, you had all type of aspirations as a child, and as you got older, they told you, well, that ain't gonna make no money. You need to be more realistic. See, we be corrupting these folks. We be corrupting these little babies, man. Then now we growing up and we chasing things that we shouldn't be chasing. We are entering career fields that we not too fond of. So now everybody depressed and unhappy, all because somebody told you it ain't no money in what you had, you know, in your dream that you had when you was 10. Man, we got to stop doing all that. Like, I really see why the young bulls grow up to be disgruntled, depressed, corrupted, all type of nonsense. It all stems from all the seeds that's being planted in them when they're young. I see it in this garbage. I was part of that. I told y'all my story when I transferred over to the private school from a public school that lost their accreditation. And that white dude asked me what college I wanted to go to. And I told him North Carolina. I was a Michael Jordan fan. I grew up in the Michael Jordan, Allen Iverson era. You know what I'm saying? So I grew up watching Michael Jordan. So I'm like, I want to be like Mike. I want to go to North Carolina because I was a basketball player. And that man told me you need to be more realistic. I'm like, damn. I can't go to North Carolina, fam. This is what I'm coming to this private school for, you fool. You know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't even realize. Like, I'm looking at dude like, damn. You telling me to be more realistic? I'm just a sophomore. I'm just entering my sophomore year. I tell you I want to go to North Carolina University, UNC. And you tell me to be more realistic, like the whole reasoning for me transferring to this private high school is to not go to these type of schools. Like, that's the whole reason why I'm here. Dude, you need to be more realistic. Damn. Instantly didn't mess me up. Don't even realize what you done did to a young bull at that time. I ain't gonna lie, you know, high school, I stopped playing around. I messed around, you know. That's when we start chasing the girls, man. You got 6, 7 different girlfriends at a time, man, all type of stuff. So freshman year wasn't the best year for me. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't the best year. I literally had a Michael Jordan experience my freshman year. Didn't make the basketball team. The tryout was stupid, so I didn't make the team. People felt some type of way. Everybody in the neighborhood knew I was a hooper, knew I should have made the team, but the tryout was garbage. So then now I'm transferring schools. You know, I'm a hooper, so I'm transferring schools. That's all I'm thinking about. North Carolina basketball, all this type of stuff. I knew my grades weren't the best, but I'm like, my athletic ability, you know what I'm saying, ought to be able to get me somewhere. And then this fool tells me that. So now you done created a monster because you done told me already. I done did 1 year high school and you make it seem like it's impossible for me to go to this school. Not really realizing how easy it was to get into them colleges. I learned that when I got into the colleges. But I got into college, even the college that I went to, I was in that joint on academic probation to let y'all know what type of high school life I was living. I went into college on academic probation. Meaning if I got below a certain grade point average, man, they was kicking me out to college. So I went into, see, this is the type of stuff people do not know. Y'all think I always been into books. Y'all think I always been this smart, studious person. I went to college on academic probation. On academic probation. So if I didn't have a certain grade point average, which I forgot what it was, I think it was like a 2.0, 2.5. If I did not get that grade point average, I was kicked up out of the school. They was going to get rid of the kid. Or so they said. So I went into my college career on academic probation, meaning in high school, I was trash. I was trash. I didn't start getting my life together until college, until after high school. That's why I was on academic probation. You know, especially after dude told me that, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, man, I don't care nothing about this school stuff. I ain't even really want to go to college. Me and my homeboy we took it as a joke. You know, at our high school, man, because we was in a little small private high school. So in our high school, fam, when you got accepted to a college, they announced it over the intercom. So me and the homeboy used to be joking around with it. We used to just apply to colleges for fun, just for them to announce our name over the intercom. Didn't have no intentions of going to any one of them colleges. We were just applying to colleges for the fun of it, just so we can hear our name on the intercom in the morning. Such and such got accepted to Jackson State. Like we was applying everywhere. We was applying everywhere with no intention to go anywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's what I was on. So again, when y'all see the person that I am today, I've come a long way. And all of this, unfortunately, stemmed from me tapping into myself. I wasn't getting led in the right direction by the folks around me. People were trying to discourage me actually from doing the things that I started to do, changing the way that I was eating, reading books. They was trying to tell me not to do these things or not to let this drive you crazy and all this type of stuff, man. They was trying to discourage me from being on that. So when I started to change, even when I started to change up the music that I was listening to, I mean, every positive change that I made, people had something negative to say. I'm like, damn, I can't even listen to positive music. Like, what is y'all on? What is going on here, man? Leave me alone. You know, so then that's where my attitude went. Just leave me alone, fam. Leave me alone. Let me vibe out in peace. I got tired of folks saying something every time. Like, no, I don't care how unbothered I may seem. I don't care how unbothered anybody may seem. Nobody has time for every time they go around certain folks, they got something to say. We all have a certain point to where that starts to get on your nerves, fam. If I keep coming around some folks and every time I come around, it be the same old played out jokes when at the end of the day, you really low key hating. And I don't want to keep being around that. I don't want to have to force myself to like block out what folks around me are saying because they saying some nonsense. Man, I don't want to have to keep using my willpower just to go around folk. Man, I ain't got time for that. That will just zap the energy from you. Every time you go around these people, man, you got to try to block them out because you know they about to start saying some nonsense. There is nobody, I don't care how enlightened you are, that's going to start to bother you. It's just going to get on your nerves. Every time I come around, man, y'all make the same tired jokes. Oh, you eating like a rabbit. Oh, you eat. That's all you going to eat. I'm going to let you get that off a few times. And now I'm probably about to respond. I'm about to go off on you. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to go off on you. You know, and I brought, you know, I mentioned this type of stuff to I'm going to fitness wise. We're going to talk about fitness. And if you are bigger, please don't take offense. If you do, I really don't care. I really don't care. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. But when I started to change the way that I was eating, fam, obviously, when I played college ball, like I changed the way that I was eating right around that time. So when I got to college and was playing football in college, boom, they was like, we want you to put on about 20 more pounds. So I did that. I got the biggest I've ever gotten when about my freshman year in college because I had to. So I did it. Again, you present me with a challenge, I'm gonna conquer that joint. So I did that. I was eating the food, I was getting there. Wow. So I started to make these changes, right? Everybody was used to me having a certain physique. Even before I put on the 20 pounds, I always was just swole. You know, I always just had muscle. You know, so when I started making the changes, I started, you know, y'all obviously know the changes that I made as far as the way that I eat, you know, and then along with that, I stopped lifting weights how I used to lift weights real hard, you know, so I started doing a bunch of cardio. So, of course, I leaned out. I didn't necessarily lose that much weight, but I got significantly leaner. So what happens when you get lean out here, fam? Everybody think you sick. Everybody think you dying. You know the funny part about that is when we watch people get skinny, get lean, whatever the case may be. Now, it'd have been one thing if this just happened to me overnight and people didn't see the changes I made. But you saw the changes that I made. You saw that I changed the way that I was eating. You saw that I went vegan. You saw that I started doing more cardio, things like that. So you saw the changes. So this is not an unexplained weight loss. But I find it funny that if I would have, when I was getting bigger, and when folks around me getting bigger, ain't nobody saying, "Oh man, you getting bigger, you sick." We only start asking people, are they sick when they get smaller, when they get skinny? Fam, as if there are not a multitude of different diseases and ailments that are associated with obesity and weight gain. I ain't never heard somebody ask a bigger person or a person that got bigger, like, hey man, you getting bigger, are you sick? You getting bigger, are you diabetic? But nah, when you get skinny, when you get lean, they be like, man, you sick? You all right? You got cancer or something? Like, they literally ask you that. They literally would ask you that. You look sick. What about if I gain 100 more pounds, I look sick again? But I ain't never heard nobody tell the person that gained 100 more pounds that they look sick. When you do, you look like a diabetic, fam. You know what I'm saying? You look like you got hypertension. But I ain't never heard nobody say that. You know, when I start to puff up, well, nobody saying nothing. Man, hey, it looked like your blood pressure high. But the moment I got lean, and I promise y'all, I did not lose that much weight. I just got lean. So I lost muscle mass because I was not lifting. You know, so I got lean. So I know the way my body looked, but I hadn't lost weight, which I hadn't lost that much. You know, and I told people this. But they was used to me looking a certain type of way. Y'all, are you sick? You gonna do this? You gonna do that? You gonna telling me what's gonna happen to me if I keep eating the way that I was eating. Whole while it's people around them eating up everything in the kitchen and they not telling them nothing. But when I start eating more fruits and veggies, they like, this what's gonna happen to you. You keep eating like this what's gonna happen to you. Well, tell your family member that's eating all the pork, eating all the pig feet, what's gonna happen to them if they keep eating that. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. You got all these relatives that's eating nothing but fattening foods, and you not telling them anything. But I'm eating more fruits and veggies, and you concerned about my overall health and well-being. That right there made 0 sense to me. 0 sense. So then, luckily, I got a strong mind. But when you get a person with a weak mind, like, damn, man, I look skinny, I look sick. They gonna start eating more. They gonna gain. They gonna put that weight right back on because now they shook because you done planted that seed in their mind. I knew I wasn't sick because I knew what I had did. So luckily, I had a strong mind. Luckily, I had a strong mind, fam. Luckily, I had a strong mind, and I ain't let that type of stuff get to me. You know, because they was trying to crack me, man. I was like, man, I got tired of that, fam. So I'm like, you know what? I'm about to have to separate myself from these folks, man, because again, it's like you can't be around your triggers, fam, when you working on yourself. It's like a person that's trying to beat alcoholism. If one of their triggers is going to bars, every time they go to a bar, they drink. Well, you can't invite that person to a bar. If one of their triggers is having drinks in the crib, you can't have drinks in the crib. It's going to trigger them to drink. So it was the same way for me with my temper and my anger. I couldn't be around people that just said dumb stuff to me, fam, because then I was going to eventually respond. So I had to disconnect from these people because I was tired of the slick remarks. And that is a trigger for my temper. Fam, so when I was working on myself, I had to say, you know what? I can't be around folks that make slick remarks in regards to my lifestyle changes because it's going to make me respond in a certain type of way. It's going to encourage me to respond in a certain type of way. So the best thing for me is to not associate with those people. So I had to disconnect from all the people that kept making the slick remarks. I had to, fam. I'm like, man, I can't be around that because it triggers me. Even if I don't say something, it triggers me. Y'all know how it is, man, when somebody that says something to you and you trying to work on yourself, but it really ain't working. But like deep down, you really want to say something, but you trying your hardest not to, and you just boiling on the inside, like you start sweating, like that. That's the type of stuff, fam. I couldn't be around it, fam. Somebody would say something to me, and I'm like, man, I'm not gonna respond. But what happened was I just suppressed what I wanted to say, and now I'm boiling on the inside. The internal body heat or body temperature has risen, and I'm sweating. it's cold where I'm at, and I'm sweating. I'm like, God damn, I want to say something, but I'm working on myself, so I can't. Man, I don't like being in that type of position. I don't like being in that type of situation, especially then when I was working on myself. Now I'm able to be around somebody saying some nonsense, and I'm like, all right. Back then I couldn't. I knew myself back then. Back then I'm younger. I'm new to all this. I'm defending everything to the grave. Man, you better not say nothing slick to me. I'm ready to go off. I'm ready to fight about this. Now, oh, okay, that's how you feel. That's what's up. I'm sorry you feel that way. You know, now I'm able to be around that, and it don't faze me, and it don't bother me as bad. You know what I'm saying? So I'm able to handle myself a lot better. Back then, no. So I knew that, so I could not be around triggers. Couldn't be around. Couldn't be around them triggers at all, man. So I was like, all right, man, you on this type of time. I'm going over here. Y'all over here on that. Well, I'm going over here. I'm going this way. I'm going this way. Y'all about to just sit. Y'all about to be over here, and all y'all about to do is smoke and drink all day. All right, I'm trying to talk about some business plans. That's all y'all about to do over there? Cool. I'm going over here though. I ain't judging y'all. Do what y'all do. But that's not my environment now. I was never one to smoke and drink, but I would be around it. You know what I'm saying? I would be around it. You know, I would be around it, shoot the breeze, get a kick out of it. But then I'm like, nah, I don't need to be over there in that environment. I'm over here doing this. I'm going to do me. I'm going to let y'all go ahead and do what y'all do, but I'm doing me over here. You know, and people took that a certain type of way, so be it. So be it. But again, as I tell people all the time, when you start to focus on yourself, when you start to better yourself, then that people automatically will remove themselves. So I ain't never had to delete people. Like I ain't never had to delete somebody off of social media, off of Facebook. I started ignoring them, and I just started telling the truth. When you tell the truth and ignore people, they remove themselves. That's what I realized in my life. When I tell the truth, you know what I'm saying? When I tell that truth and ignore folks, they remove themselves. You look up and be like, dang, I ain't even realize you deleted me. I used to get deleted left and right on Facebook. I'm talking about people that I've been knowing, family members, all that. I look up and be like, dang, I wonder what happened to such and such. Look up, oh, they deleted me. Cool. All I did was tell the truth. All I did was ignore the nonsense. Divine, oh, you say, how did you get there? How are you able to take hearing people's BS seriously? Please answer that. Oh man, that now, well, it's a result of all the work I had to put in on myself. But now it's like what they say, man, I focus on what I can control. I cannot control the perspective of another person. And a lot of times when somebody says some nonsense, me trying to neutralize what they said is not going to do anything to change their minds. Most of these folks are stuck in ignorance, or they stuck in whatever it is that they believe. So I'm not here to convince anybody or convert anybody over to my pattern of thinking. So if you say some nonsense to me, the max that you will get from me is me standing on what it is that I fool with in regards to whatever the subject is. And I'm going to leave it at that. And going back and forth with you. You know, I'm going to tell you where I stand. You've told me where you stand. We ain't got nothing else to talk about. Because at the end of the day, you're not about to change my mind. I'm not about to change yours. And I realize that I'm not in the business of converting people over to my way of thinking. I'm not in the business of forcing people to try to understand where I'm coming from. I can't force an understanding. You can't do that. I can't force an understanding. Either somebody gonna come to that understanding on their own or they not. So when I'm having a conversation with somebody and I realize this person ain't striving to understand anything, I'm good. I'm good. I realize what said person is on. Oh, okay, this person just on an ignorant tip. They not really striving to understand where I'm coming from. So I deal with them accordingly. When I'm talking to you and I realize you a person that's really not striving to understand and you filled with ego, we're not going to have many conversations. We're not. It's nothing we're going to talk. I give those people what they call the cold shoulder. Like I starve those people out. It's like reversing cancer. You know, one of the things that cancer, one of the most prominent food for a cancerous cell or cancer cell is sugar. You know, so when you strive to reverse cancer, you got to starve the cancerous cells. One of the ways to starve the cancer cells is to refrain from eating the sugar because that's the food, the main source of food for the cancer cell. You got to treat those people the same way. Those ignorant people feed off of ignorance. They feed off of getting under your skin. So you got, in order to starve them, you can't allow them to get under your skin, so you ignore them. So that's how I starve those individuals. I don't give them what they are looking for. They're looking for an argument. They're looking to go back and forth, so I don't go back and forth. When I realize that's what a person is on, I don't give them what they're looking for. I don't feed them. Like, I don't feed them at all. Like, I don't feed them people. I don't feed ignorance. I don't feed ignorant people. Like, that's how you got to treat all them people. You got to look at it like a baby. Like, I'm not feeding you. So now you're going to starve. And that part, when you don't get the nutrients that you need over a long period of time, what happens? You eventually die. So when I don't give the person the nutrients that they looking for, that they need over a long period of time, then eventually they going to fade away and die from my life. You know, so I don't feed them. I starve them. I starve them out. I starve them out. When I see they on that nonsense, they about to get, I'm starving them out. I'm starving them out. Just give it time. Give it time. Start them folks out. Give it time. Eventually, they will remove themselves. Eventually, matter of fact, eventually they're going to stop doing it. They're going to stop saying the garbage. They're going to stop making them corny jokes when you come around. Like, eventually, they're going to start approaching you a different type of way because they realizing now that you ain't on you ain't feeding into it. And that's what started happening to me. When folks realized that I was no longer feeding into the garbage, like they stopped cracking the jokes, they stopped saying the nonsense. When I came around, it was all business because that's what I was on. I stopped entertaining when folks came at me incorrectly. I stopped entertaining it. So people stop bringing it to me, you know, real simple. It's real simple, yet it's complicated. It's intricate to put it into practice. So I already know how I go. You know, but of course I slipped up and I failed a few times. You know, it is what it is. You're going to do that when you're working on yourself, But I never get discouraged when I'm working on myself and I slip up. You know, so that's another thing too, man. Never get discouraged. Never get discouraged. Never beat yourself up over the head. Like, I said I wasn't going to let people get under my skin and they got under my skin. I failed. Life is over with. Now just bounce back the next day. Just bounce back the next day, fam. Somebody got under your skin today. Make sure they don't get under your skin the next day. That's growth. We be thinking things got to be perfect, fam. They ain't got to be perfect. As long as you acknowledge the slip up, now you able to do something about it, man. You acknowledged it. Now it's time to do something about it. Now it's time to do something about it. And that's how it was for me, man. Especially like all the journeys I was on, the eating journeys. Like, man, I slipped up and had something that had a dairy ingredient in it, man. I wasn't supposed to eat that. Nah, man. It's like, all right, I had some. I slipped up. All right, so tomorrow gonna be a better day. Tomorrow gonna be a better day. I tell people that all the time, fam. Just make sure the next day is better than the last. That's all you can do. Quit crying about what done happened to you during the day, fam, like it happened to you. Somebody said something you ain't like today. Let that go, fam. Like, let it go. I know too many people that be holding on to the stuff. Like, man, you making not only your health worse, but you annoying the people that you keep bringing that around, fam. Somebody said something you ain't like. You didn't address it. That's your fault, fam. Like, you didn't address them. So now you mad because you ain't address them. And now you addressing everybody else. Nah, address that person. Address that person, fam. Lindell, man, I'm trying to tell you, man, and it took me a long time to actually learn that the best reaction sometimes is no reaction. You know what I'm saying? And even just in relationships, you know, I had to learn that. Like, man, this sometimes better, especially as the man, sometimes it's better for you to just, a lot of times it's better for you to just walk out. You know, when you a man, bro, and you got you a girlfriend, a wife, whatever the case may be, and y'all are, it's an argument that then popped up, my man, you gotta walk up out of that thing. Don't sit there and be going back and forth, man. You gotta leave the premises, man, because that can go a lot of different ways. You know, so I always encourage dudes, man, when you and your lady get into it, fam, leave. Leave. She can call you a punk, call you all these type of names. But it's in her best interest if you leave. So do what you got, leave. Straight up, leave. I don't care what anybody call me, because I know, especially back in the day, I know what type of temper I had, and I know what I'm capable of. So I'm like, all right, when situation gets to a certain point, I just gotta leave. I gotta go for a drive, gotta go for a walk, go work out, do some push-ups, something. Gotta do something. So I'm quit. Like I tell brothers all the time, man, hey, just leave, bro. Leave. Come back with a clear mind. So then you are able to better address whatever the problem was. You know, when you start responding out of anger, bro, everybody starts saying things that they about to end up having to apologize for. When you come back with a clear mind, you're not about to say those things. You're about to say all things related to truth, which I don't apologize for the actual truth. You know, so that's what you got to do. You got to leave, clear your mind. And when the mind is clear, then you come back and now you address the situation. That's how that goes. Hey, Dominique, that for sure. You know, and that's what you got to do. What you got to do, you guys, that's the only way to do it. That's really the only way to avoid it. Because again, as I said earlier, everybody has that point. Same applies to just arguing back and forth in relationships. Man, dudes only got every dude got a point, a level. You know that if it's reached, if it's surpassed, they gonna respond in a very bad way. It's only so many things that a woman can say and do to a man all up in his face before he forgets that you are a woman. You know, so that's why I say when tensions get high, leave. Because we already know how some of these women can be when they start talking crazy, when they're angry. They gonna use some stuff that they should not have used against you in that argument. And so it's only so much a dude finna hear and tolerate when it comes to stuff like that. We not like talking and all that really ain't our game. That's what women do. That's why they do it well when it comes to arguing. A dude ain't finna keep doing that. So you can only get in a dude face hooping and hollering for so long before he done forgot who you are. So that's why I tell the dude, leave. Because at some point, she gonna say the right thing, which is really the wrong thing, and that's gonna set you off. And she knows that. So you can't even let that happen. So you gotta leave. You gotta leave. Like I tell my brothers that all the time. Leave, fam. Leave. I've witnessed what happens when you do not leave. When you do not leave, I've witnessed what happens, fam. Like you did not leave, and now this didn't happen. So you must leave. Nothing is wrong with, okay, this is getting real in the field. Let me walk away, clear my head. Leave. Again, growth. Like I'm good for that. I'm like, all right, man, Mud's talking crazy. I'm finna go ahead and exit the premises. Cause I'm not like I get distraught. I start punching walls, door. Like, man, I didn't been on that type of time. I didn't been that dude. Like I destroyed the crib. Like I punch a hole in something. Like stop talking crazy. Stop. Matter of fact, stop talking to me. You know what I'm saying? Like a bow, y'all didn't punch the hole in the door or something. Then broke a door. You know, like I do something. I used to that's because I ain't got time for that. Like I don't want to keep hearing. I just don't want to keep hearing that. You know, so walk away. Walk away. Walk away. Like that, I started learning. Man, I didn't messed up my knuckles. You know, just man, for real, because we got testosterone, man. We not trying to yell all day. We in a minute, we gonna need to have a physical outlet. If you keep talking crazy, like dudes only can be mad for so long before we got to get physical with something like that's. We just ain't got time for that. Like we not satisfied with verbally going back and forth all day. Nah, in a minute, you get away from me. You know what I'm saying? Because that's why some of us gonna go work out, gonna go hit some push-ups to blow some steam, punch a heavy bag or something. But I tear some stuff up, man. So I'm like, all right, I'm tired of doing that. So let me go ahead and walk away from the situation. Let me walk away from this situation, man. Like I'm good for doing that. And I used to do that type of stuff as a kid. So this ain't nothing that I used to do this stuff as a kid. Dominique, exactly. And it ain't even, and then now, and I always like it when that is stated. When we say, all right, women know what to say to get under our skin. And then women gonna turn around and be like, well, y'all should have more discipline and emotional control. First of all, you shouldn't say whatever it was that you said that got under my skin. First and foremost, let's leave it there. Like that ends the argument right there. I don't care about no discipline and emotional control. You shouldn't have, if you release something that was sacred to me and you said it in the midst of an art, you shouldn't have said that. So whether I need to have better emotional control or not, don't even matter. You shouldn't have said what you said. Shouldn't have said what you said, man. Like a dude confided in you and you use that in the heat of an argument, foul. Foul. My brother Terenzo, I appreciate that donation for sure. Hey, Terenzo, that's how you got to maneuver, you know, flat out. But I already know. I came a long way back in the day. I'm ready. I'm looking at arguments like it's wartime. I'm ready. Like, man, don't play with me. You know, especially if you did say something that got under my skin. Like, nah, I can't let you do that. I can't let you do that. You know, some things, every man, every person got that thing or those things that are off limits. You know, it's certain things I'm not gonna let you joke. I'm not gonna let you bring up before stuff start really getting real. You know, it's just a few things you bring it up like, all right, now game over. You shouldn't have said that one. Game over. Shouldn't have said what you said. You know, so I didn't been there, done that. You know, and again, this is why, sisters, you have dudes that they just won't open up. You know, you got, when you come across a dude that it's hard to get something out of him, that's why. Because he didn't unleashed on a woman before and she used all that against him. And he ain't fooling with it. He ain't fooling with it. Don't nobody want their deepest, darkest secret to come out in the midst of an argument when they already upset. Nah, fam. Like, not at all, fam. Like, cause that's one of the foulest things you could do, fam. And I done seen and heard some foul things, bro. I mean, I ain't gonna lie to you. Like, I done seen and heard some foul things, man. When you start using dead relatives that they was close to in an art, nah, fam. You know what I'm saying? Like, that right there, you can't do that. You know what I'm saying? When somebody angry already and you start saying they gonna end up like a dead relative, you asking to get thrashed. You asking to get hands put on you. Like, I'm sorry. You asking to get some hands put on you, flat out. I don't care who you are, man, woman, them, they, their, it, all that. I don't care who you are. When you say some stuff like that, you asking to get hands put on. Like, straight up, you asking to get some serious hands laid up on you. So it's just like I say, it's just certain things that I don't even got time for that. Certain things I ain't got time for, player, and that's one of them. That's one of them. You ain't finna start talking crazy to me. Like, my biggest pet peeve in life is somebody talking crazy to me. Because I don't talk crazy to other people. So when you talk crazy to me, I'm assuming you looking for a fight. And back then, I was gonna give you what you was looking for. Now you fight somebody else, man. We ain't got time for that. But y'all, man, with that being said, man, I gotta make some moves. So, man, I appreciate y'all tapping in, man. I appreciate all the love, all the donations, all that good stuff, man. It's always love. It's always peace tapping in with y'all, man. But I'm going to let y'all get back to enjoying y'all Sunday, man, finishing off this weekend strong. You know, so hopefully y'all took some jewels away from this build. I'm going to try to tap in with y'all again, possibly Tuesday, man. Who knows? I might do an upload or something tomorrow, man. Y'all know what it is. We on the grind putting out the content. But, man, y'all enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. And if I don't tap in with y'all tomorrow, y'all enjoy y'all Monday as well. But I'm out, y'all. Y'all be easy. Peace.